right, so in order to make pizza, we use yeast, okay? This is the first time that we're going to use yeast this year, right? Yeast is our leavening agent. What does leaven mean?
Rising.
To rise. Very good. Okay, you have either chemical leaveners or you have natural, okay? Yeast is our natural. It's a single-celled living organism, okay? So yeast is a living thing, and the way we activate this is through warm water. Yeah. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to get about a half cup of warm water. This is, it can just be warm tap water. The taps in here get warm enough that it's perfect, okay? You don't want the water to be too hot because you're not looking to kill the yeast, okay? You just want to activate them. So, I'm going to get about a half cup. It's got a little bit of, it's just oxygenated, okay? So as it sits, it kind of clears up a bit. Yeah. Okay, so a half cup of water, warm water, is going to go into a bowl. Alright. You're going to put in 2 teaspoons of yeast. I like to use active dry yeast, and you can buy yeast in little individual pouches, or you can buy it in bigger containers like this. Okay, you're going to take 2 teaspoons, and you're not going to just dump the yeast, you're going to actually take it and sprinkle it. Dawson?
If you swallowed some, would you get bigger?
No, you wouldn't get bigger, but you might experience a little bit of gas.
But why is it changing color in water?
Now what's happening is with the yeast is once it gets warm, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to feed it a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. Okay, here you think about a yeast, a single-celled living organism. What happens is when it eats something like sugar or salt or oil or something, out the other end comes carbon dioxide, okay, a little poof of gas. And those little tiny bursts of gas, essentially, okay, all together will help rise or leaven or rise a particular dough. So when you look at pizza crust, for example, and you have the big bubble on the edge, have you seen that before? Okay, that's, yeah, pop it for a wish or fight about it, yeah. That is essentially a whole group of those little carbon dioxide bubbles all formed together, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take your yeast here, and you'll notice in your group, it's a lot easier to see when you're up close, you'll notice a couple things. Number one, you'll notice that it starts to get almost a little bit of like a foamy consistency around the edge, okay, because the yeast are starting to activate. And you'll also notice a little bit of a smell. Kind of smells a little bit like baking bread. Can you smell it a little bit?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. After it's been sitting here for a couple, like a minute or 2 minutes, what you're going to do is you're going to gently whisk this, okay? Again, this is just a gentle process. You're not trying to kill these guys. You just want to expose them to the warm water, bless you, and get these all starting to be activated, okay? So give that a little whisk. And then you're going to take a tablespoon of olive oil, and this is going to help flavor the crust, and it's going to help
Not making it sticky.
yeah, not making it stick to the pan or the peel, and we're going to talk about what those things are in just a moment. Okay, so now we're kind of giving it something to eat, so we're just going to give this a little whisk.
Are we just pretending this is real?
What's that?
They're actually alive.
Okay, and we're going to let that sit for just a moment, all right? Then we're going to take a separate bowl, and we're going to put 1.5 cups of flour in here.
Hello. I can see it eating. So where is yeast found?
Yeast is, that's a really good question. It's kind of a complicated, yeast is found naturally in our environment.
Just gotta snatch it up in a butterfly.
Are we gonna use the pig timer?
We could use the pig timer. I got that for Christmas. I was so excited.
Did you get that pig whisk too?
No, I had the pig whisk, but
Are they like
they're like a set, it appears.
Are they like bugs, but they're a lot smaller?
Yeah,
They're
bug
single-celled microorganisms, so it's like smaller than a bacteria.
You can't see
Yeah.
them.
Not
I can
really.
see 'em.
Like you could see when we had these little, when you looked at these individual grains almost of yeast, it looks like they're almost individual little grains. Okay. Last year we did this and looked at them under a microscope, and there are billions in this little pocket. There are millions of yeast in that one little clump together. Okay. So there's actually a lot more than.
How many are in your hand right now?
Oh, I don't know. Probably billions.
Oh, more than that.
Did not know I could
There's
hold
only
that
7
much.
billion people on Earth.
Isn't that wild? Okay, so we have 1.5 cups of flour and we have a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk that together. Melanie?
Can't you use sugar instead of like olive oil for other?
You could use sugar or you could use salt for them to eat. Yes, exactly. And sometimes doughs will have a little bit of sugar in there. Okay? This one is not. All right, and just like we've done a lot of times, we're going to move all the stuff to the edge and make a what? A well. Very good. Make a well in the center of our dry ingredients. And what we're going to do is we're going to give this another little tiny whisk. Okay, just mix that up a little bit more, and then our liquid ingredients are going to go right into our well. Using a rubber scraper, okay, we're going to start by grabbing a little bit of flour from the inside wall of the well, right, and mixing that together gently. And why are we doing this? Why are we adding a little bit of flour at a time? It is what I told you to do. What's the objective or the reason for doing this?
Not getting in trouble. So it's fluffy and it doesn't get all clumpy.
So that you have a smooth dough.
So you mix everything in.
So we have a smooth dough. You mix this slowly, incorporate this a little bit at a time so you have a smooth dough. How many of you have ever had pizza where the crust is so tough you kind of have to like rip it apart with your teeth?
Oh, that's.
I had that at Papa John's.
Okay.
That was a while.
Now you get really tough pizza crust from over mixing and overworking dough.
Flour.
Yep, so you really need to just incorporate this until it's in a big ball, and then we're going to flip it out onto the counter and we're going to knead it. Yeah, so we just want this to start to come together, and we want to do most of the work with our hands.
When I was in Chicago, I forgot the name of the pizza place, but we had this really great pizza, and it was the one where it's like stuffed
Deep
almost and the
dish.
cheese is on top.
Okay, so pizza, that's really interesting because pizza essentially is, in the United States, is divided into Chicago style or New York style pizza. I mean, as two large groupings. Chicago style pizza is typically a deep dish pizza, and they make it in actually a springform pan, which is the
like a
same
pie.
pan that you use to make a cheesecake. It's really thick.
My dad does
Does
this.
he?
He makes pizzas.
Yeah. And they're filled with toppings, and usually the sauce or the tomatoes are on the very top, and it's like a giant wedge, okay? New York style pizza is more similar and more authentic Italian style than anything else. Italian pizza, like we're going to make, is very thin crust, and the toppings are very thin on top, okay? It's not like Americanized pizza where you get, if you get ham and pineapple's in every single bite, right? Okay? Italian pizza is much different. You're going to have a little bit of toppings. They're used very sparingly. Every bite isn't going to have every single topping on it. Check.
Okay, can we put cheese in our crust?
In our crust?
Yeah. How would you do?
No, I will show you how you would do that. We're not going to do it. We're going to make a traditional Italian-style margarita pizza. A margarita pizza is a pizza that was named for Princess Marguerite of Italy. They wanted to make a pizza that honored her. And what they did is they found things from native ingredients from Italy that represented the colors of the Italian flag. What are the colors of the Italian flag?
Red, white, green.
Red, white, and green. Exactly.
I said it first.
Okay, so
Mozzarella, tomato.
note what I'm doing right now is I'm just getting this dough to come together, okay? And what I'm going to do is all this excess flour and these little bits, I'm just going to shoo off to the side, okay? We don't need all those. I'm just going to take, if it's too sticky, we're going to lightly flour our counter again. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to knead this for a little bit, okay? Hunter?
Are you gonna do the little spinning the pizza thing?
I'm not. You can try it. No.
What if
Yeah,
I
let's
the ground?
dump. I don't trust Mitchell.
Just like,
Mitchell
Mitchell
be
would eat it.
Okay.
there's no eggs, are there?
So, no eggs. Oh,
There's egg yolk. Oh no.
okay, so the margarita pizza, okay, again, they're trying to mimic the colors of the Italian flag, so the main ingredients, and this was on that little pre-test that they gave you, main ingredients, tomato, basil, and fresh mozzarella cheese.
Yeah, she said fresh, not mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
Okay, now again, you're not trying to overmix this, but you want this to be nice and soft, okay, nice and soft and pliable. And one side is going to become really soft because we're rolling it onto the counter, okay? The other side is going to be a little bit dimpled, okay, because that's the side that you keep kneading, okay, when I'm turning this a quarter turn and I'm pulling it towards myself, remember? You can either fold it first and then turn it, right? Okay, but one side's going to end up being fairly smooth, okay? And that side, okay, as soon as it feels nice and soft, can you tell the texture there? Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to get a little paper towel, and coat it with some olive oil, and you're just going to line the inside of a bowl, okay? And you're going to take your whole ball of dough and set it right in there. Now, if you're going to do this all in one day, okay, you can take a clean tea towel and just put it right over a bowl and set it in someplace that's warm. It doesn't have to be hot. You're not looking for it to be hot, but just a warm environment. So room temperature is just fine, okay? All right, we're going to let that sit for a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to show you our toppings, and we're going to slice some toppings. So those are ready for us.
I feel in your film.
Okay. Tomato. All right, so we have aroma tomato. Okay, this is a Roma tomato. It's small. It kind of almost looks like a little bit of a heart shape.
Vegetarian friendly. The pizza.
Yes. Yes. So margarita pizza is truly vegetarian. Okay, we're gonna take our tomato, and this doesn't have sauce. Okay, this pizza does not have sauce. So the olive oil and the salt, the pepper, the basil, everything, they kind of come together with the tomato to make almost a little bit of sauce on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking this tomato and we're going to slice it into fairly thin slices. Okay, not paper thin, but they're certainly not as thick as if you had a tomato in the United States as a topping on your pizza. Not sliced that thick. Okay, the thinner that you slice them, the more it's going to almost turn into its own little sauce with the olive oil. And the second ingredient is fresh mozzarella. How many of you have seen or had fresh mozzarella before? Oh, great. Okay, so that's how thin we want our tomatoes to be. All right, approximately. And then we have fresh mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella usually comes in balls or clumps this size, and sometimes they're packed in a little bit of water, and sometimes they're just vacuum packed, okay? And it's a very different texture than you're probably used to for cheese. It's kind of like a cross between...
Cheese sticks. Rubbery.
Yeah, it's almost got a little bit of a rubbery texture, okay?
Cheese stick.
Yeah, we get cheese stick.
Okay. And we're going to cut some slices of this.
What do I smell?
Okay, that's probably good. And then we're going to take some basil. All right. Sometimes on margarita pizzas, you'll see whole leaves of basil. Usually not quite so large. Some of these are quite large. But you would see individual little leaves of basil. Okay.
It looks so pretty together.
They do look really gorgeous together.
Fresh.
And there's also in the same line, there's a salad called a caprese salad. If you ever go to a restaurant and you see caprese salad on a menu, what that means is they take fresh mozzarella, fresh tomato, and fresh basil. Have you seen that before?
Yeah.
And they would do something like this. They would just stack them. Sometimes you'll see them stacked right up like this, and with a little basil leaf on top.
And then sometimes you put like olive oil or something.
And it would be dressed lightly with olive oil, maybe some balsamic vinegar, a little bit of salt and pepper. Sometimes you'll see it where it's kind of stacked, bless you, where it's presented or plated in another way, where they'll just kind of go through each way and like line it like a circle, which is kind of pretty as well. But it's the same ingredients nonetheless, okay? So I'm going to deconstruct that a little bit. And I'm going to show you this basil. There's a term in basil called chiffonade. Chiffonade is a term which means to cut something into little ribbons, okay? What you can do is you can take these basil leaves actually, and you stack them up,
Sounds good.
okay? Stack them up on top of each other, and roll it short side together. Roll it up really tight. And take the tip of your knife, and you're going to slice this into little ribbons. This is called chiffonade. It just means making something into little ribbons.
Oh,
If you didn't want to do the big full pieces of basil, you can do this. And what happens is you just kind of pull these apart and unfurl them, and they turn into little ribbons of basil.
This is a sharp knife.
It is a really sharp knife. That's, yeah.
It's super skinny.
Okay, so you have little basil ribbons. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slice some garlic.
Yummy. Just cut your finger off with
I'm going to do 2 cloves here because I'm actually going to show you 2 different
crust.
pizzas. Well, same pizza,
smells
but
like
2 different
amazing.
ways.
What, the garlic crust?
Not that.
The
It
basil?
smells amazing.
Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm cutting right above the base where it connects to the bulb itself. Okay, I'm peeling that off, and then I'm giving that garlic clove just a little squeeze so that the skin comes off fairly easy. Okay, because what I want to do is I want to slice this clove very thinly. Okay, you can chop this if you'd like, but I think I prefer thin slices of basil in this application, but whatever you wanted to do here. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to slice it into paper thin little pieces here. Let's put the calculators away.
Calculators are forbidden.
Okay. So we're doing thin slices.
She gets to use phones and we don't. She gets to text Levi and I can't text my math teacher to solve world hunger.
What? Why are you texting your math teacher?
Mitchell! Who's your math teacher?
Mr. Fowl.
Okay.
Whoa!
Alright, so. Alright. Your pizza. Okay. If we would let that sit for a longer time, you get a more rise, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to cut this right in half.
Chop.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of this dough, and this is what you're going to do. So tomorrow when you come in, you're going to get to this stage where you cover your dough.
I'm feeling your film.
You cover your dough with plastic wrap, color hour, and put it in the refrigerator, okay? When you come in on Wednesday, I will have already taken your dough out so it's at room temperature and able to be well worked, okay? If you take it right out of the refrigerator, it's going to, basil infused crust. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to work with, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your dough. You're going to start doing this. You're going to start with your hands, okay? Crimping the edges essentially and using gravity to help the dough pull down. Now pizza in Italy doesn't look cookie cutter. It's not all circles, okay? They all come out with their own unique shapes.
Could you make a
Melanie?
star pizza?
Is that just flour in that container?
Just flour. Yep. So at this stage, we're going to take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it on the counter,
Flour the counter.
okay? And you're going to dimple this a little bit, okay? Help you roll it out a bit. Jack?
Could you make like a pizza that's shaped like a star?
Sure.
I'm gonna make a pizza that looks
I'm
like
gonna
Okay.
eat the stars.
So get a little bit of flour on your rolling pin. Now, you're going to start rolling this out. When you roll, you're going to roll from the center. Roll from the center out. Now, what's going to happen is sometimes if you don't let your dough rest enough, what'll happen is it'll just recoil and it'll shrink right back up, okay? So if that's happening, give it a chance, okay? Roll it out and then let it rest. If it's shrinking right back up, just give it a minute, let it rest, and then come back to it, okay? The protein, remember the protein in flour, what's that called?
The
Protein?
protein.
Gluten. Okay? Gluten is the protein in flour. All right? When you need it, you're developing those proteins, but you need to give them a chance to rest and go back to their shape, or hold the new shape that you're intending to give them. Okay? Because now we want them to be flat and stretched out. So Italian style pizza is typically pretty thin. Okay? So you want this, you're looking for about an 1/8 inch to 1/4 of an inch. Okay? And again, it's not perfectly circular. It's not going to be this cookie cutter Pizza Hut looking pizza, right? Alright, now what I have is a pan here, and I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to spread an incredibly thin layer on the bottom of this pan, just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay? Now, we're going to take our crust, put it right on there. Yeah. And we're going to get a little bit of olive oil on here.
Brush it.
And we're going to coat the bottom of this with a pretty generous amount of olive oil. Okay, you don't have, remember, you don't have a sauce that's going on here. So you want to give it some flavor with the olive oil. Okay, someone asked this morning, when you look at an olive oil container and it says extra virgin olive oil or just regular olive oil, what does that mean?
Oh,
Ash, what does that mean?
that determines how many times they press the grapes. to get all the
The-
juices and oils out of it.
If it was grapeseed oil, yes.
Yeah,
But how many times they press the?
If it's extra virgin oil,
Oh.
then they press it once, and if it's just goes down.
Yeah, it's a
Then they
indicator
press it more,
of
and then you
quality.
It's okay. We're on a half-day schedule.
Yep,
We are.
time to go to lunch, actually.
So, when you have olives and you're pressing them into olive oil, the very first time they press them, that's the highest quality oil that you're going to get, right? That's extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil you can eat on its own. It's used for dressing salads, putting on the top of a soup maybe, like a nice creamy soup, something like that, okay? If you were just using it for cooking, you could just buy olive oil, which means after they press the olives the first time, they
Press it
take
again.
they take them and they remix them and everything, and they press them again. And the second pressing, the olive oil, like the quality goes way, way down. So they market it as just plain olive oil. So if you're looking for something, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to have a cooking oil, you can just use regular olive oil. And if you want to have something that you're going to use more for dressing salads and things like that, you want to use something a little bit higher quality. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take just a little sprinkle of salt. Just give that a little sprinkle there. And I'm going to give just a little grind of black pepper.
Tasty.
Okay, and now we're going to take that garlic, and again, I've got this thin sliced, okay? I've got this sliced into kind of paper thin pieces. I'm going to sprinkle a few of these just really sparingly on here. Okay, and you see how thin they are? That's going to really help kind of, they're almost going to melt with this heat. Yeah. You can buy garlic oil. You can also make garlic oil. You can make any type of oil that you want. You can take oil, put it into a pan on low heat, and infuse it with any flavor that you want. Infuse it means just...
because we could put it on the crust.
I don't, but we could easily make some.
Motor oil? Motor oil?
What are you talking about?
All right, so now we're going to take our tomatoes,
It smells so good.
our thin sliced tomatoes, and just
Put
kind of...
them on top.
Yep, sparingly spread these on here.
Very spicy.
Now we're gonna take our little chiffonades of basil. Sure these are kind of torn up or unraveled here.
Doesn't look like it tastes. It looks like it would be like.
What is it with Americans and making food so much better?
We're just good like
Well,
that.
that's a matter of opinion, certainly. All right, now you're gonna take your pieces of mozzarella and you're just gonna loosely tear these. Okay, pizzas are meant to look very, very rustic in Italy. Okay, so, and the thing is, again, you're not gonna have all of the toppings on every single piece. Okay, I am gonna have some processed mozzarella for you if you want to add a little bit more cheese. Okay. But in a typical pizza, you wouldn't have cheese on every single bite. Okay, cheese would just be a sparing ingredient on there. Okay, and in it goes. Can someone time 5 minutes?
I will. I got a timer on my phone.
Ready, set, big timer!
Okay, now I also have something else to show you.
We got the pig timer going.
Okay, let's test it out.
Guys, we have a
Okay, the other thing I wanted to expose you to is in Italy, in true Italian ovens, what happens is Italians have these ovens that are made of stone, and they're very, very small, typically domed ovens. And what they do is, in the morning, what would happen is they would build a fire. Okay, they'd build a fire in the oven in the morning, and they would let the fire get really, really hot and burn for a couple hours until the stones on the bottom were about 800 degrees. Then they would take that entire fire and they'd move it to one side of the oven. They'd sweep all the ash away so it was nice and clean. But that would be a very, very hot surface. We're talking 700-800 degrees, okay? And then what happens is they make the pizzas and they put it onto something called a peel, P-E-E-L. And it looks kind of like a big paddle. It's like a big wooden paddle with a long handle. Have you seen those before? Okay. I don't have a peel, okay, but what I'm going to use, what we try to use is my pig cutting board, and this worked pretty well.
Pig pizza.
You can actually go to the grocery store or go to kitchen stores, and you can buy
pizza for two.
pizza stones, okay? Pizza stones.
My mom got one of those for Christmas.
Did she?
Yes,
This is a pizza stone.
she did.
They cook
The
it.
craziest thing is that you can actually go to a garden supply store and it's the exact same thing. It's a garden stone, okay? They can market them, you know, kitchen-wise, and you can spend $20 and buy a pizza stone, or you can go to a garden store and spend $2 and buy the exact same thing. So the pizza stone, I've got one in the oven right now. You have to preheat it for about 30 minutes. So the conventional oven only goes to 500 degrees.
That will make it good.
Okay. This will give it a lot more of an authentic feel. Okay. And I've got one in there right now, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. Okay. We're going to take our dough, just like we did with our last one, squeeze it into something that resembles somewhat of a circle. I'm going to roll this out really quickly.
Looks like a pleasant crescent.
A crescent?
Yeah.
Looks like pizza.
It looks somewhat like dough, but I don't know what it is.
Don't come in.
Go away. Slide. Zena.
Nope, it's the trooper.
It's the trooper.
Thank you, Emily. Awesome job.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now,
One food, right? She has to do like 3 of them.
We should like call her the purple trooper.
the purple trooper.
No, it's just
Yay,
the
Emily. Good
trooper.
job, honey. Thank you.
It's just the trooper.
We're proud of
not-
you.
Okay.
You're gonna go places.
But
All right. Now, you don't want a lot of flour on here. Okay.
Well, we have like a minute.
I'm going to wait, friends. Oh, no, I'm not going to spin it.
What do you have to lose?
You don't want this.
got another one.
You don't want this dough.
Terrible.
When people spin that, what they're doing is they're trying to stretch the crust. Yeah.
Aren't we
Um,
trying to do?
We already rolled it.
Yeah. I rolled. I just used a roller.
This is
Okay.
so
You want
good.
this to be about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. You don't want a lot of excess flour on here. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this on our fake peel here. On your peel, okay, what you would do is you would have either a mixture of flour or some cornmeal on here to make sure that the pizza crust slid off here easily. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to again coat this with some olive oil
There's 1 minute left.
on the pizza.
Oh, at Maddie's, they have this really good Greek pizza.
Just stay.
Do they?
Yes,
Whoa.
so good. And also the garden pizza is very good too. And they hand make the doughs. And it's so good.
Where is this?
Maddie's, it's I think in like it's like around the edge of Interlaken. It's by the Arby's and the Towns.
Oh. Okay.
No, Crusty Creations.
They
is
changed
good.
the name
Every-
from
No,
Lasagna
Jets
to Maddie's.
Pizza is good.
Oh yeah.
Jets. Jets is where it's at.
All right. All right. What's gonna happen next? What goes on here next?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
The straw.
Jets.
Oh, our garlic.
Garlic, yeah, get garlic on there.
Garlic.
Come on, little piggy, you're almost done.
You can do it.
No, don't.
It's gonna scare us or something.
I know.
Remember this type of
It's gonna
pizza with
flip.
the crust
It's
filled
gonna
with
go
cheese.
Knife.
Wait,
Yeah,
what
if you
about
want
cheese?
to.
awesome.
All right.
It's gonna go ding and then just
Okay, eyes and ears up here. If you wanted to, and I'm showing you this, and we're making the, we're gonna do an authentic pizza. Okay, but if you wanted to make your own pizza, you could use this same exact crust recipe. Okay, you could use the same crust recipe. But what you would do is if you wanted to stuff the crust, roll it really, really thin, and you could, I've seen people do this with cheese sticks, where they actually take the cheese stick and then cut it in half to make it a little bit thinner. Cut it in half or into quarters lengthwise, line the edges, and just take the edge and crimp it right over.
I think it's stopped.
Okay?
There we go. It's done.
The piggy.
Okay, we'll take that out when I put this other
I
one
will
in.
check on it.
All right,
I'll check out
So-
it. Don't.
have a seat, have a seat. Thank you. All right,
There it goes.
what you could do. All right, and again, sometimes you'd see whole pieces of basil on a margarita pizza. Okay, sometimes you would just see whole pieces, and sometimes you would see this, where they take the basil and they very, very rustically just tear it, okay, into pieces,
That one didn't
and
make it
actually
out.
make it on there.
Oh no, it's my insect collection right now.
Okay, and then our pieces of mozzarella.
It's a big chunk of tomato.
This piece right there.
Looks like a burrito if you wrap it up.
What?
Could be a burrito.
What burrito
Okay.
doesn't have meat?
So, take a look at this. I'm gonna walk over here and we're gonna take that one pizza out.
Vegetarian burrito. Oh, set the piggy again.
Oh, I thought you meant that was the pig one. I'm like, what?
Shane's Shane's getting away, so I can't view her.
Oh, that's all it is.
Shane, sit down.
Shane, your video sucks.
Eyes and ears over here, friends. I've got the oven door open. Okay. So what's gonna happen is you would take your pizza peel,
Slide it.
Obviously it's not a real peel. Okay, and this stone is very, very hot. It's been in there for at least an hour. Okay, and you would just slide your pizza right onto your pizza stone. And what's gonna happen is because the pizza stone, again, in theory, that's helping mimic what would happen in a true Italian oven, right? In a true Italian oven, in a domed oven, your stones on the bottom would be how hot?
800.
800 degrees, okay? So what's going to happen is
Shane,
pizza cooks
move.
in about 3 to 4 minutes, okay? Because the pizza stones are so hot that it blisters the bottom, like we did with our tortillas. Remember that? Okay, it blisters the tortilla bottoms, okay? Very, very similar process. Blisters the bottom and heats everything very, very quickly. So it only takes 3 to 4 minutes in that type of an oven. This is going to take 5 to 6 in hours, okay? But about 3 to 4 in a true oven. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have you get together with your group. You're going to decide who is doing which job, okay? And then we're going to, I'm going to have you come over here and you can try a pizza. All chairs